final. So yeah. All right. Are we recording yet? Okay, perfect. Good. Welcome everybody. People are still coming in. If you're watching live online, hello. If you're watching recorded, hi. Tonight is session 10. It's our final session of your 20 hours of treatment for your DUI. So you've made it, you've done great, and hopefully you definitely developed some new coping skills, some new information that you can apply to your life, whether you choose to be sober and be in recovery, or maybe you just needed to apply some healthier behaviors to your life. Whatever it is, I hope that you were able to take some good information from this. I again am using my voice amplifier. I know I say this in every session, but I just want to make sure everybody understands that if there's a it's just a screechy, for some reason the two don't always go together very well, but I just want to make sure everybody can hear me. And of course, when we're recording, I want to make sure that the sound is decent. Tonight, as we recap some stuff from sessions 1 till now, we're also going to go over some things that are going to be online. So I have somebody actually working my projector and working the internet. And him and I have worked before in the past, so we're pretty familiar with what we need to do as far as session 10 goes. But there can always be a glitch. There can always be a glitch with the internet. And since this is a live event, I can't stop any glitches, okay? But we're going to do it as smooth as we can. I know that when we put the internet onto the projector, not everybody can see, and that's not necessarily what I'm doing it for. What I'm doing it is for me, so I can convey the information to you. And so you'll have a better idea of how to do a Google search for this information, if you should want it or if you should need it one day. So we're going to look at a lot of stuff tonight, just kind of recap what we've done from session 1 till now. We're going to look at the different components of AA, NA, Smart Recovery, Celebrate Recovery. There's just lots of good stuff going on, and I want to end it tonight with a recap of triggers, knowing your triggers, understanding your triggers, knowing your urges, and of course, making your coping skills applicable to anything that's going on with your life. So we are going to do a little bit of information. I know some stuff you do, or you have learned in the 16 hours of education. So if you're to this point for the whole DUI situation, you've done the 16 hours of education at least at some point, whether you had to do it before you came into the treatment part of this, or whether you've done it before. So a lot of information about 12-step meetings is presented in the education part, but I wanted to go a little bit more in depth because for us, as a therapist, and by the state of Arizona and for the MPD, we cannot recommend 12 steps as any type of therapeutic part of your DUI process. So it's not considered anything relating to treatment or anything related to the counseling. It's just simply an extra support system that we put out there. But just because it doesn't count towards your DUI requirements doesn't mean that it's not something that you can be a part of, or that's something you should know about or learn about. So I want to make sure that everybody has the idea and knows what it is and knows how to utilize the information that's online for it. A long time ago, when all these 12 steps started coming forward and we started learning more about them and people became more involved in them, we didn't have the internet, we didn't have all this access. We have so much information now. Like each 12 step usually has a website or a .org foundation that you can go to, that you can literally find meetings all over the place. So I'm going to tell you that there's meetings in person, there's meetings online today. So I don't know if you want to be in person for a meeting or if you want to be online for a meeting. Either way, you can now do both. That's how technology is serving everybody. And the online meetings are live. So it's just like what you're doing if you're watching online right now, or you're watching live, or you're watching recorded. You'll get a live video for an online 12-step. It's pretty cool. Now, I would assume if you're in a 12-step program, depending on that program, you are at some point going to have to maybe meet a sponsor, or maybe at that specific meeting, if it is online, they'll have the resources for you to reach out to a sponsor. But just remember, one of the foundations of 12 steps is the component of a sponsor. Now, a sponsor is somebody who has obviously been in recovery for I don't know how long. I don't know if there's a specific requirement per se, but I would definitely look for somebody who has been in recovery for a little bit of time. I would say no shorter, personally for me, than 12 months. I would like to see somebody who's at least in a year of their recovery. even more is even better. Because they have that foundation, they've been through, they've done their steps, they've been going to the meetings, they have 12 full months of fighting their urges and replacing them with better coping skills. So they're going to have a better foundation. Now, that doesn't mean that somebody that has 6 months of sobriety can't be a great sponsor. I'm sure that there are plenty. I just want you to know that obviously the person who has more time behind them is going to have some more experience, and it's going to have probably a lot more resources available. Now, in AA and NA, so AA is Alcoholics Anonymous, NA is Narcotics Anonymous, and this might be completely elementary for most of you. For some, it might be the very first time you hear about a 12-step meeting. But AA, which is Alcoholics Anonymous, has a lot of people that are in attendance for that. It even has a lot of individuals that attend it that are more so substance abusers. So not everybody that attends AA has an alcohol issue. And it's interesting because I've worked with many clients before who have substance-related issues, and alcohol is not the main concern, but yet they prefer AA for some reason. So that's really going to be something that a person has to decide on their own. They have to decide what meeting they want to go to. They have to decide what type of meeting, what style they like. There's all sorts of stuff, as you're going to see online soon, that is available. So AA is Alcoholics Anonymous. NA is the Narcotics Anonymous. They're both 12-step groups, meaning that you're going to do a 12-step plan. You're going to work these steps, and that's the foundation and the core of the program. And one of the main ideas and understandings that you have to develop is the higher power component. So for some people who maybe don't have that belief or aren't spiritual in that sense, might have a hard time adapting to that or adopting the higher power component. For some, it might not be an issue at all. For me personally, it wouldn't be an issue. I consider myself to be very spiritual. I'm a Christian, and adopting any type of higher power, I would go to God through Jesus. So that would be my belief. Now, your belief can be completely different. So it might not align with AA or NA, and that's where we're going to come in with another program called Smart Recovery that doesn't have those components to it. So we'll talk about that too. But I definitely want to take a look at AA tonight, NA, get a little deeper look, get some meetings. You guys can write them down. So if you're watching live online, please take some notes, and we'll give you some websites, and we'll give you some days and times, just general basic stuff of meetings, so you guys have a foundation there. I'm also going to cover some Al-Anon and some Alateen. Now, Al-Anon is a foundation for loved ones of those who have addictive behaviors. So it could be the child of an alcoholic. It could be the husband or the wife of someone in recovery. So Al-Anon is another foundation that can help that situation. And you're going to learn a lot of that group too. So I've personally attended all of them in my educational journey just to kind of get an understanding. I wanted to know what they each offered, and I wanted to make sure I was able to share that with my clients. So I've attended all of these. I've even attended Alateen when I've worked with adolescents, because Alateen is a place where adolescents can go, and it's just people their ages. Whereas Al-Anon, you might have youngsters in there, but you're also going to have spouses that are adults. So it's not always going to be just focused on teens. Now, Smart Recovery, which is something we'll get to after we go through this. And there's also a video that we're going to watch. We'll watch here in the group at the end of this group. And if you're watching online, the video will be posted for you to watch. And again, you won't be able to complete the complete course until you watch that video. But the video is on Smart Recovery. So it's a great video. It definitely gives a lot of information about a program that not everybody knows about. But remember, Smart Recovery is also free of charge, just like these other 12-step programs are. But Smart Recovery would be more designed for somebody who maybe doesn't appreciate or doesn't want to abide by the higher power component. Or maybe they just can't wrap their head around that concept, okay? So I don't want you to think that there's no place for you, because there is. And Smart Recovery is a good place. All right, so what I'm going to do is turn off the light. So you might not be able to see me online or in person as good, but I want you guys to at least get a foundation or an idea of what we're doing here online. So right now we are looking at Narcotics Anonymous meetings. So when you go into Google, it's pretty cool because you can obviously put these keywords in, and you're going to get a host of information. So as we kind of scroll through this, I want to take a look. So we've got a meeting, then we've got whether it's a closed group or an open group. Now, a closed group would be a group where there's a set amount of people already, and they have their, maybe it's the same kind of group they have for a few weeks at a time, and they're not allowing anybody new into it right now, or they're going to open it up to the public in a couple of weeks. Either way, it'll tell you on this site if it's closed to the public or if it's open. So far I'm seeing open, which is good. Now, this is a simple na.org. You can just go into that na.org and you'll be able to do a lot of searches in there. So if you see how it goes, we have a meeting in Mesa. It gives you directions and it gives you the address, 245 West Mahoney Avenue. This is a Sunday meeting at 8 a.m. and it's open to the public. So that's how this is going to read. When you go into na.org, you're going to be able to pull this up. Now, the next one is at North Mountain Park. Again, these are Sundays. So I'm going to go through some Sunday meetings first. So we have a Sunday meeting at North Mountain Park, which is in Phoenix, Arizona. It's a Sunday meeting at 11 a.m. and it's open to the public, and it even has some wheelchair accessibility. So it's interesting that they'll put that on there too. And it works good. It helps people to know, is it going to accommodate their needs? So it's good to have that. Elmore Lodge, so we're going a little bit more west. They have a meeting on Sundays at 11, and it's an open meeting. It doesn't say anything about wheelchair or disability accommodations, but you can also just reach out to them if you ever need to too. So on this page, when you find these different locations, you can also search for phone numbers too. So the next one is North Scottsdale Fellowship. So we have North Scottsdale Fellowship Club. It's in Scottsdale, 10427 North Scottsdale Road. It's a Sunday meeting too. It's a little later at 12, and it's open to the public. It's also wheelchair accessible, so it's going to accommodate those that have needs like that. Here it looks like Central Phoenix, Bethany Presbyterian Church. A lot of times you'll find meetings at churches. So this one is 7702 North 35th Avenue. So it is Central Phoenix. It's on Sundays at 4 p.m. It again is an open group as well. Wheelchair accessible, so they're probably going to have ramps. They're going to have doors that are able to get wheelchairs in and out of. So that's good to know. All right, moving on down. Looks like we've got some in Salvation Army. So we're moving on over to Tempe. So we have a session in Tempe on Sunday at 5 p.m. and it's even a newcomer, okay? So we have a beginner newcomer meeting, which is good to know. They'll place those on these types of resources as well. So what are they doing? Are they studying the steps? Is it welcome to people who are new? Is it closed? Is it open? And all of this information is provided for you. So this is in Tempe, 714 South Myrtle Avenue. Sundays at 5 p.m. Okay. We have more on the east side. We have Mesa, 245 West Mahoney Avenue. Sundays at 5:30 p.m. It's an open group, and it's going to be just for today's study. So they have specific types of maybe devotionals or specific programs that they're studying at the time. So you can also find that out too. So this one's a just for today's study, 5:30 p.m. on Sundays. Another central location. So we have 4012 South Central Avenue. Sundays at 5:30. It's open for the public. It's a just for today's study and discussion and participation. So it's definitely going to allow people to talk. If you've ever, just like when we watch When a Man Loves a Woman, when she gets up and they speak and they share. So you want to know if you want something where there's discussion, then you want to look on that side and see, do they have open discussion? Are we allowed to talk? Are we allowed to check in? So if that's something that really helps you in your recovery, you definitely want to see if that's provided on these types of resources. We have another one at a church here in Central Phoenix again. It looks like Alateen Lutheran Church. Sundays at 5:30. It's an open group, and they're going to do step studies. So it doesn't say anything specific about discussions. It doesn't say anything specific about any specific devotions or programs that they're actually doing, but they are doing a step study. So they're going to go more deeper into the 12 steps. All right, at our Veterans Hospital. This one is Sunday. If you don't know where the Veterans Hospital is, it is 650 East Indian School Road. So 6th Street and Indian School Road. Sundays at 6 p.m. It's open to the public. If you've ever been to the Veterans Hospital, there's going to be lots of accommodations for any type of disabilities, things like that. This is a speaker topic discussion. So somebody will be running this. There will be a specific speaker that will be running this. It looks like there might be some open forums for people to talk. Not sure how long, not sure if that's even going to be possible. But at least you know that it is open. It's an open group. All right, we've got some more in Phoenix. We've got Ebony House. So if you've never been to Ebony House is 6222, South 13th Street, and it's Sundays at 6:30 p.m. Open group with a speaker. And it doesn't say that there's any time for discussion, but it does say that there's a speaker. So if you'd like to go to these meetings and you enjoy listening to others, this is going to be a great one because there's a speaker there on Sundays. All right, what do we have next? Great one. North Scottsdale Fellowship Club. See, they're all over the valley. They're not just here in Phoenix. They're not just in Glendale. They're not just in El Mirage. They're going to be on the west side. They're going to be on the east side. And if you're outside of Maricopa County, that's okay because you can begin to look in all the different counties. Coconino, even La Paz County has meetings. And then again, if you are in a rural city, you can check out online groups. That's always a possibility. So again, this is for NA. So if you're seeking NA groups, we have North Scottsdale Fellowship Club, Sundays at 7 p.m. It's wheelchair accessible, so it's accommodating some disabilities. It's a living clean study literature study. So it's a specific program that night, and it looks like a great one, living clean study. All right, El Mirage, again, we have more in El Mirage. We have some in Mesa, more in Chandler, and let's keep going down. What else do we have? Any other days that it talks about in here? I'm sure it does. So look, now we're going to get into Mondays. Go down to Mondays real quick. Thanks. Okay. So during the week, you can usually find different types of NA groups or AA groups that will meet a little bit earlier. So a lot of times, there's locations that have them like every hour and a half. So people that are involved in a 12-step often do what they call 90 and 90. So it's 90 meetings in 90 days. And if they choose to do that, then they need to find a group that they can get to. Often too, you'll see, especially in the beginning of recovery, they'll talk a lot about, hey, if you're struggling, if your urges are crazy, if you're feeling like you can't get through, hit up a meeting. And guess what they have? They've got meetings all the time, right? So what we see here is a meeting that starts as early as 8 o'clock in the morning, 9:30, 10 a.m., 12, 5:30 p.m. And that's just for Mondays. So we have open discussions, we have specific topics. Basically what I'm trying to tell you is all over Arizona are groups for NA. And there are going to be a lot of them around the clock during the week. If you think you can't find a meeting, then you've been sadly misled because you can find a meeting. So that's na.org. Please make sure to use na.org if that's something you want to be a part of. So we'll go into the next. We'll do AA next. All right, good one. So what we have here is aaphoenix.org. So although it's Phoenix, it's still covering surrounding areas. We've got Wickenburg listed, we've got Tempe listed, we've got Mesa and Chandler listed down there. But we'll take a look here. Something similar to what we just saw in NA, but a little bit different. So we have a group on Sunday at 1 p.m. in Wickenburg. The meeting is called Wickenburg Winners. The actual address is listed here at 357 West Yavapai Street. Now this doesn't give as much detail about if the group's open or not, but because you know the location, you can always call and see. Generally, they tend to be open, okay? We have another one Sunday at 1:15 Phoenix at the Mojave Group, so 309 West Mojave Street. Looks like Sunday at 1:30. So again, here it's showing how frequent these meetings are occurring. So we've got one at 1, one at 1:15, one at 1:30, one at 1:30, another at 2. Now they are all over, so it's a good variety. So if you are, getting your restricted license, if you're to the point where you've got your restricted license, or maybe you have gotten to the point where your license has been returned and it's not restricted and you're able to drive wherever, you can be able to go from Phoenix to Tempe, or if you wanted to take a drive to Wickenburg, do a little day trip, whatever it is that you want to do, just know that there is a lot of meeting times. And if you are somebody that's having triggers or urges and you really feel like you need a meeting, they're available. They're available around the clock. So here's one Sunday at 2 p.m. in Phoenix called AA in the Park. Now that one looks to be like in the Burton Bar Library Conference Room A. located at 1221 North Central Avenue. So looks like an interesting one. Let's see here. There's one in Mesa, Sundays at 2:30, called the ABC Group. It's at 145 East First Avenue in the Mesa, Alana. Chandler, 3 p.m., the GIT Group. 393 West Warner Road in Get It Together. So Get It Together can mean a specific type of group. It might be something that they're going over. They're just called Get It Together. They do that as well. All right, look, we have one on the west side again. We have El Mirage. El Mirage is called Twisted Sisters. That's interesting. 12313 Northwest Grand Avenue. New Hope, Alano. Glendale, Girls on Fire. So that kind of shows me that that's a girls group, a girls 12-step group. So if you're a male, you might not want to attend this one. It's at 8910 North 43rd Ave in the Fellowship Hall over there. This looks pretty interesting, and it's kind of centrally located. I mean, it's Phoenix, so it looks like it's, I don't know, what's that, northeast a little bit? So it's in Phoenix, called Friends Staying Sober on Sundays at 3 p.m. 12835 North 32nd Street, Cross in the Desert. So those are notes. So they add little notes on the side here, and that might mean like if they're in the library, for example, that's a specific hall that they're meeting in, or the specific room that they could be meeting in. This is a good one. Sunday at 3 p.m. in Phoenix, a newcomer meeting. So we have one at 6619 North 19th Avenue, Mid-Century Group parking off Tucky. So it's kind of telling you what to do there, how to get in there, just so many different resources. And this is just for Sunday. Keep scrolling down, please. Let's see what they got. Do they keep going on Monday? More Sundays all over East Side again. I even saw one in Casa Grande just now. So again, you can go outside of Maricopa County. More Sundays. Sundays are a big day. That's awesome though, because look, they have them from morning until night. AA is meeting all the time. Looks like every half hour there's a group somewhere. So that's awesome. So Sunday, so you can go into this resource called aaphoenix.org. And even though it says Phoenix, it went outside of Phoenix. It even went to the west side. It went as far as Casa Grande, I saw. And you can go ahead and search, do your search engine to where maybe you want to know. Maybe Mondays you pick or Tuesdays you pick. It's available for you. So if you are somebody who's struggling and you need a group immediately, or this is something you want to do, get online. There's so much resource on there. Very good resource. All right, so what do we have next in our all meetings? Okay, so here we go for this. This is all meetings, Sunday morning Al-Anon meeting. Perfect. So our Al-Anon meetings, if we remember, these are for family members, okay? This could be for your children, for your spouses. I generally see more adults in Al-Anon, but it's not uncommon to see a kid or see an adolescent. But it's also why I like Alateen, because you can take somebody who's just an adolescent and you know that that's all that's going to be in there. And that's something that a lot of times what an adolescent needs is just somebody that they don't feel is going to have all adult stuff and everything like that going on. So they might prefer an Alateen. But an Al-Anon is something great. So if you are a person who has decided to basically participate in 12-step, get yourself a sponsor, do those kind of things, you are probably going to want your family members, your spouse, your parents, loved ones, even friends, to attend Al-Anon so they can see what it's going to be like that as you're getting healthy, what it's going to be like for them, because they kind of can get stuck in some of those behaviors we talked about last time, when we talked about after we watched When a Man Loves a Woman, and we saw how he was struggling to kind of adapt to her recovery and understanding what was really going on, okay? So even though our family members, our loved ones, they want to love on us and they want us to be healthy, they don't get the concept of what's going on all the time. So having their own support and learning what's happening can be really beneficial for them. So Al-Anon has their own, and it looks like it's srbais.org. So you can always Google search Al-Anon meetings in Phoenix or Al-Anon meetings in Glendale. You're going to be able to find what you need. Scroll down, please, and let's see what all this says. So we have a Sunday morning meeting with Al-Anon, Sundays at 11 at the Westminster Village in Scottsdale, Arizona. We have Sunday Stepping Stones at 12:30 in St. Stephen's Episcopal, I can never say that, church, you guys get the idea. 2310 North 56th Street in Phoenix. We have Mustard Seed, Sundays at 5:30 in Trinity United Methodist Church. That's lot 3104 West Glendale. And then we have the White House Group, Sundays at 6:30 p.m. Faith Lutheran Church, 801 East Camelback. Happy Valley, that one's going to be more in the north of Scottsdale, it looks like, but it's at the Pinnacle Presbyterian Church, Sundays at 7 p.m. We have Peace in Our Hearts, Alateen. So here's an Alateen, got a couple Alateens coming up. We have an Alateen at 7 p.m. in the Pinnacle Presbyterian Church off of Pima Road in Scottsdale. And then we have a Sunday night Alateen all the way in Prescott at 7 p.m. at the First Congregational Church. So Alateen is something, if you have youngsters, if you're a parent and you have adolescent children, this is something they might enjoy and they might become a part of, and it might be a foundation that they like having around. So just know that this is also a possibility. Al-Anon and Alateen are great resources. Scroll up a little bit. What do we have? A Sunday night Serenity, Sundays at 7 p.m. here in Glendale, or over there in Glendale, Arizona, St. Raphael's Catholic Church. We have Sunday spiritual meeting at First Congregational in Prescott. So in Prescott they have the Alateen and they have looks like maybe an Al-Anon meeting. Serenity on Sunday, so there we go, far west, Litchfield Park, which is good to know. So you have Sundays at 7:30 out there. Another in Prescott, Sunday Solutions, 520 West Delano Avenue, Sundays at 7:30 a.m. So they have early meetings, for our early morning risers or for our morning peeps. There's definitely a lot of meetings out there, whether you're going into the 12-step or you're a family member, a loved one that needs an Al-Anon or an Alateen. They have them at all times, all over. You just have to be able to word your search correctly and get those keywords in there so you can pull up locations and times and places and days of the week, and then you can find out what you need to do. So that's good, good, good. Okay, so moving on to our next window. What do we have going on? Some detox stuff. Yeah, so what I wanted to talk a little bit about before we go into Celebrate Recovery is some detox information. So depending on your insurance, depending on your status, not everybody wants to go to detox, not everybody's going to need detox. But I wanted to talk a little bit about detox because it's important to know that there's certain substances that would require a detox. And those substances are alcohol and what we call benzodiazepines. Now, alcohol everybody's familiar with, but when I say benzodiazepines, everybody's sometimes like, what is that? I don't know what that is. Well, a benzodiazepine is a classification of medication for anti-anxiety. So a doctor or a psychiatrist might prescribe something for somebody who has anxiety attacks or panic disorder, or maybe they're just scared to fly, or maybe they're going through some grief. They have situational stuff going on and they need a little bit of assistance during that time. Well, a benzodiazepine can be a medication such as Valium or Ativan, Xanax, Klonopin. So there's lots of different types of benzodiazepines, but you get the point. They're anti-anxiety medications. And anti-anxiety medications and alcohol are both substances that if you're heavy using or you use on a regular basis, you definitely don't just want to quit cold turkey. So let's say that you've been prescribed Xanax for anxiety and you've been taking it for a couple years now, and you've noticed that you start to abuse it, or you took extra and that's how you got your DUI because you were driving a little bit slow, or you were driving erratically and a police officer pulled you over and your DUI was for a substance, benzodiazepine related, Xanax. I want you to know, I'm not saying don't go sober, don't go into recovery. I want you guys to do those things, but I want you to do it correctly with a physician who can help you, because a benzodiazepine as well as alcohol, if not detoxed from properly, can lead to very serious life-threatening conditions like seizures, difficulty breathing. There's all sorts of things that can happen. So there are specific substances that have to be detoxed. And that's why I wanted to go over that in today's session. I want to make sure everybody understands that. It doesn't mean that everybody that uses alcohol or everybody that's ever taken anti-anxiety for some anxiety or as prescribed will necessarily mean it. But I would like to see anybody who's taking prescription medication that wants to get off of it do so with their prescriber. So make sure you're working with a medical doctor who's aware of your situation, who's aware of how much medication you're taking, who's aware of the medication you are taking, so they can properly help you come off of that medication. And it might be going from 3 medications to 2 a day or 2.5 a day until you reach a point where you can safely come off of it in a way that it doesn't harm you or increase your risk for things like seizures or life-threatening issues that can cause death, okay? The same thing for alcohol. It doesn't mean everybody who drinks alcohol or everybody who had a DUI is going to need detox. That's not what I'm saying. But it's always good to talk to your doctor if you do drink on a regular basis, okay? So if you are an everyday drinker, where you come home and you have so much to drink and it's part of your everyday plan, and you're deciding that you want to quit, you need to work with a doctor, work with somebody. Let them be the judge if you need a detox or not. Chances are you might not, but if you do, at least your doctor can guide you. At least he can help you get into a place that meets your needs, whether it's insurance-based or whether you need help through a state-funded agency. There's plenty of resources out there. So as you can see, we have tons of places that, these are probably more places that would take insurance, but we have lots of locations, especially hospitals that have behavioral health units in them. They would be a great source for detox. That would probably be if you did have insurance. Even if you had access to insurance, you could probably utilize a resource like that within a hospital. Now, a place like Community Bridges is generally open to the public. It's generally open all the time, and it's a place you can go to as well if you're needing detox and you don't necessarily have insurance, or maybe you don't have the funds to pay for it. Definitely reach out. Know that there are resources out there, and please understand, I want to stress that there is an importance to detoxification if you've been using a substance for a long time, okay? And there's also some protocols that can help you if you're detoxing from substances that won't necessarily bring apart life-threatening conditions. So let's say you have been using an opiate medication for pain for a long time, and you want to come off of that medication. Well, know that there are going to be some uncomfortable withdrawal symptoms. They can be stomach-related. You can get nausea, headaches. You can get flu-like symptoms. With opiates, there's not really that high chance of life-threatening complications, but there is some discomfort. And that's generally why we see somebody who uses opiates, pain medications, or even heroin, who abuses those types of substances. We see them go back to that because the withdrawal can be so discomforting. So know that there are resources out there. There are prescriptions out there that a doctor can help you with. So detoxification, while it's not going to be fun, it can definitely be more managed today. And it's definitely well needed if you are using a substance for a long period of time. So please just know that. Don't just randomly say, hey, it's good, I want to get sober, and that's awesome. But please know, reach out to your doctor. Make sure that you're doing it the right way. You're also going to increase your risk of success if you're doing it the right way. Because a lot of times, if you're just going into it and your second day, you're like, I'm sober, I haven't done anything, and then by that night you have hot sweats and you're nauseous and you have a headache, and you're like, whoa, what's going on? I feel like I have the flu. Well, really, you're in withdrawal. And there's a lot of stuff out there that can help you ease through that process, okay? All right, so detox is important. Our next window is going back a little bit to 12 steps, but it's a celebrate recovery, which we talked a lot about. Can you go into the next one? We talked a lot about in our education. So we have different, obviously we have AA, we have NA, we have Al-Anon, we have Alateen. We even have Smart Recovery for those who don't like the higher power component. And we have Celebrate Recovery, which is a Christ-centered 12-step program. There's a lot of people that are in this type of program, and they find it at their churches. So if you go into celebraterecovery.com, you can Google, or not Google, but you can search in there and find out what's going on, and you can see if, what churches are in your area are having this. You can see if there's any books, any resources. So Celebrate Recovery is going to be a lot of the regular 12-step, methods and application, but yet instead of the higher power, they're naming their source, which is Jesus Christ. So they're not just saying that anybody out there is my higher power, or I subscribe to the universe as my higher power. They are specific in their beliefs and their spiritual walk, and so it's Jesus for them. So for your Christians out there who want that component to your recovery and who really want to do this, know that Celebrate Recovery is something that might be very beneficial for you. And Celebrate Recovery is cool in the sense that it doesn't just go for substances. You might look at a addiction, to pornography, or even a food addiction. There's other types of addictions that Celebrate Recovery will incorporate. So you can have lots of things to talk about in there, and you're going to have a wide group of people, but the foundation is going to be Christ-centered, and you're going to be able to do your application with that and apply Him in your recovery. And that's very important for Christians, so we don't want to leave that out. I definitely want everybody who is a Christian to know that that foundation does exist. All right, so this is a great, you can leave this up. I'm just going to turn the light back on as I finish up going through a few things. So we have talked about our meetings. We've talked about Smart Recovery, and when you're done here, well, here in our group, we're actually going to watch a quick video on Smart Recovery. But when you guys are done online, you will have to proceed to watch the YouTube video. And it's not too long, but it's very informative on Smart Recovery. So I want to make sure everybody from every walk of faith, every walk of life, has the ability to do what they're comfortable with as far as meetings and resources. So Smart Recovery definitely will help individuals who might not want the higher power component. And maybe you do believe in a higher power, but you don't want to necessarily put that into your everyday life. Smart Recovery might have some resources for you. So as we get ready to come to a completion, first of all, I want to say that everybody has done really great, even those online. I know many of you have reached out to me already, and I'm so grateful for that, because I want you guys to know that you can always reach out to me. You can always come to me. Just because you finish up the group and you're graduating doesn't mean we're not available. Here on the DUI services, this is what we do, and we want to make sure that we always are accessible for you. So as you finish up online, continue to reach out to us if you have questions and if you need anything resource-wise. We are very resourceful here. So if you have a question, or you want to be a part of a group, or you can't find a group in your area or a meeting in your area, just reach out. We'll see what we can do to help you out. We want to try and bridge the gap between things. Also too, so if you have questions regarding your court and the MVD requirements, and you notice that maybe the two aren't aligning, it's okay. We know that. We know that they don't align all the time, and we definitely know that what the MVD always wants isn't always going to be what the court wants, and vice versa. Sometimes they go together. Generally, they come together with regard to screenings, your 16-hour DUI education course, and of course this 20 hours of treatment. Everybody kind of agrees on that, but sometimes the MVD wants something like traffic survival school. Sometimes your court wants you to attend your victim's MAD panel, like we talked about in the very beginning. So just know that there are going to be some different requirements, and having a DUI can be confusing, but we want to definitely help you during this journey. So as I finish up, I just want to talk a little bit about knowing your triggers and understanding your urges. So as we've discussed in prior sessions, our triggers are something that are going to be in our recovery, or definitely in our daily life, where we're like, wow, that really makes me want to use something. That makes me want to smoke a cigarette. That makes me want to drink a beer. That makes me want to go to a club, right? That makes me want to take some medication or take extra Xanax. Whatever it is, a trigger is something that can cause you to want to use the substance to kind of get rid of that feeling, right? So know your triggers. If you haven't done so already in previous sessions, get out a piece of paper. Get out the worksheets that are provided. Start brainstorming and thinking of the things that do cause you to want to use. Especially if recovery and sobriety are some things that you want in your life, you have to know your triggers and you have to put them into a plan, okay? Understanding your urges is another huge component in all of this. As we wrap up, I want you all to know that everybody's going to have an urge. The urges are common, the urges are normal, and they're going to happen. And it doesn't make you less successful if you have an urge. It simply is just trying to show that your body is physical. You have a physical component to yourself, right? So even though I am a holistic being and I have lots of beliefs about how we take care of our body, that we learned in nutrition and stuff like that, we still have that huge physical component. We have a human body that has urges, that has, hungry, it wants things that aren't always necessarily going to be good for us. So knowing your urges, knowing your triggers, understanding how things go. Just keep your worksheets, put them together in a packet. If you're serious about making changes in your life and you want things to go differently and you don't want to have to do this again, put together a little notebook for yourself. Go ahead and read through it before you go to bed at night. Share it with somebody else. A lot of times we learn by teaching somebody else. So I just want to make sure everybody understands that this is your final session. Again, we're going to watch a YouTube video, so nobody get up and walk out yet. We're going to watch a video on smart recovery. And as I close out here online, please make sure you watch your video from start to completion so you can move forward with your certificate, and we can move forward with giving that to the court or to the MDD, whatever is needed, so they know that you've completed your 20 hours of treatment. So congratulations. And again, if anybody needs anything, you know how to reach me, email me, call us, we're available for you. So thank you, and here's to your new journey. All right.